Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, episode 399. Got some news to give to you guys. Yesterday, Vinny and I had an hour-and-a-half conversation with Suge Knight while he was in jail. And he called in. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago. He said he wanted to speak on a podcast on any issues, any matter, no question off the table. And we talked about a bunch of different things. He dropped a lot of names of people whom he claims influenced Diddy to do what Diddy is doing today. And you just have to listen to when it comes out. It's going to come out probably sometime this afternoon. It's the longest one he's done since he's been in. And we had to constantly call back every 15 minutes, but we eventually got it. We're cutting it up right now. We were going to do it on Twitter Spaces, but you couldn't dial in. Anyways, we shot the whole thing. Going to be all over the place today, but very interesting. So for those of you that wanted to know what Suge knows or thinks about what's going on with Diddy and all these other things, we'll have that being released later on today. Obviously, there's more things going on with Iran and Israel. We'll speak on that today. Iran feels emboldened, makes dangerous gamble on open confrontation, according to Wall Street Journal. Iran threatens to attack Israel with weapons it has not used before as it gets military support from Russia. And White House is about to announce new sanctions on Iran following their Israel strike. Simultaneously, Google staffers from New York City, California, and Seattle offices to protest a $1.2 billion aid that's going to Israel. Jerome Powell says Fed will wait to cut rates, and that is not good for a lot of people that were hoping to get the rates being cut. Oil, U.S. crude oil falls below 85 as traders discount Iran-Israel war risk. Direct Iran-Israel war could spike oil. Ready? $30 to $40, which means if you're paying in California right now $5.50 a gallon, you'll be soon at $8 a gallon if it goes up 50%. That's the number, give or take. The U.S. freight recession keeps getting deeper. We'll speak about that. Elon Musk's position with Brazil, maybe we'll get into that. He's been asking for his $56 billion payout. Tesla's asking shareholders to vote again on it. George Soros dropped $60 million into the Democrats' progressive war chest. Left-wing dark money group funds bail legal support for anti-Israel agitators blocking traffic. We'll speak about that. Trudeau, ready for this one, folks, insists China meddling in his party's favor had little impact on Canadian elections. But they did meddle in his...
He won that one, didn't he?
He won that one, yeah. But,
wow.
And then Dubai, I don't know if you guys have been seeing the videos with Dubai, what's been happening with Dubai. A bunch of people are speculating on what's going on there. UAE government unit denies cloud seeding took place before Dubai's floods, which is a mess. I've been to Dubai. I don't know if you've been to Dubai. You don't see a lot of rain in Dubai. They have to make rain in Dubai, that a lot of people claim, but we'll show you some of those videos. The average American doesn't know what a 401k is. Maybe you may want to answer. If you know what a 401k is, comment below. And don't go to Google and Investopedia. Just see if you know what a 401k is, what the code stands for. Quarterly ratings, Fox News, MSNBC, and failing CNN fails more. CNN axes. Ready? Charles Barkley and Gayle King's weekly show, King Charles, after 6 months. Egan Carroll, you guys know who she is? The lady that was on Anderson Cooper that got $83.3 million when she won the lawsuit. Guess what just happened to her? She's officially the top 100 most influential people of 2024, according to Time Magazine.
Really?
She is.
She influenced the jury. She influenced the judge.
She's very, very
Good
influential.
girl.
Fascinating.
Scumbag.
Bill Haney claims he is sending his son, Devin, to kill Ryan Garcia. Trevor Bauer, accuser, indicted for allegedly trying to extort $3.6 million. You guys got to see this. Tom's got a bunch of stuff to say about that. Parents of Michigan shooter going to jail. We're going to finally comment on it today. Maybe some things about Joe Biden, Tesla cutting 10%. UFC Renato's video we still haven't shown. We will show. And aside from that, there's a lady. This is kind of weird, guys, when we show you this. A lady in Brazil apparently grabs a dead man, maybe her uncle, in a wheelchair, goes to the bank, kind of like the Weekend at Bernie's, convincing them that he's trying to take out 17,000 Brazilian money, which is $2,500 US dollars. Vinny just showed me this clip, and we'll show this to you, so stay tuned. It's disturbing,
sad and
entertaining at the same time, but very disturbing.
So
Ben Shapiro and Andrew Tate are back at it again. Ben Shapiro goes nuclear, and takedown of Andrew Tate selling lies to men, jerking off to his webcam business. What story is this, by the way? Mediaite? Okay. Yeah, we'll go into that story as well. All right, so aside from that, one thing I do want to kind of share with you guys, next Thursday, a week from today, is our next live. Next PBD podcast live at $59.90 live. The VIP tickets sold. The second tier sold. But we do have general tickets left. If you want to come see this interview with Tulsi live at our $59.90 studio, which, by the way, everybody in attendance is going to get a signed copy of her latest book that's coming out. And there's going to be a lot of interesting things we'll be talking about with her that day. Obviously, she's one of the names that's being dropped potentially as the VP of President Trump. She's being mentioned all over the place. And so we'll have a good time at that podcast. And some of you guys that have already bought the VIPs, maybe you'll get a chance to meet her in the back. But go to $59.90 live. Get your tickets. Again, $59.90 live. Register before these things sell out. And we're about to announce the next couple live here soon as well. But with Tulsi, go to $59.90 live. Register, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, so let's get right into it, Vinny.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot of stuff that's going on. I want to start off with Jerome Powell. Rob, if you can pull up Jerome Powell's video. And Vinny, I'm specifically coming to you with this one. So Jerome Powell announces...
Adam, please don't laugh when he's telling the story.
That the Federal Reserve will not be making rate cut inflation reaches 2%. Rob, play this clip. The entire market reacted to this.
Inflation, of course, declined quite significantly over the second half of last year, over the whole year, but particularly in the second half. But 12-month core PCE inflation, which is one of the most important things we look at, is estimated to have been little changed in March over February at 2.8%, and the 3- and 6-month measures of inflation are actually above that level. So we've said at the FOMC that we'll need greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2% before it would be appropriate to ease policy. You know, we took that cautious approach and
you can pause it right
sought
there.
that.
Tom, what does that mean to the average person?
Here's what it means to the average person. Let me translate it for you. We are worried that inflation at 3.5 right now is heating up a bit, getting back toward 4. You can already see it at the gas pump because oil is 85. So the average person is like, well, I heard oil is 85. What that mean? It means the gas pump's going on, and thank goodness we're going into summer, not winter, because heating oil would be way up for people that are in the Northeast. Also, it means that if you bought a house maybe last year, squeezed into something at 7%, you notice the mortgage rates are still 7%. They're probably only heading back to 6 3/8 or 6.5 by the end of this year because they're talking about only cutting twice. So what does that mean? It means the economy is not improving as much as the headlines say. That inflation is stubborn. It's still here. People are still seeing it up. And if you're thinking of buying a house and you think of those interest rates are going to come crashing down this year, they're not. That's the loose translation, PBD.
Okay, so while we're looking at this, Tom, now at the last year, December, when we're going into a new year, December 2023, going to 2024, a lot of people were speculating that rates are going to be lowered probably 4 to 6 times this year. That was a number a lot of people, and when I say a lot, I mean the heavyweights. I'm talking the guys that are the guys you go and read about, the Morgans, the Goldmans, the guys that are the experts, right?
And a leak from a guy on the St. Louis Fed.
That's right. So, okay, everybody's like, oh, my God, it's going to go down. It's going to be great. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. And then all of a sudden, no. Another month. No. Another month. No. Inflation's not dropping. Inflation went up 0.5 point. So now all of this is continuing the way it is to where we're at with today. Is there any likelihood, Tom, that maybe there will be 0 rate cuts in 2024? Like if you were to give your percentage that there will be 0 rate cuts at all in 2024, where are you at with that, percentage-wise?
Right now, I'm only 50-50 at 2 rate cuts, and I'm falling.
Yeah. Got it.
And so
But where are you at for 0 rate cuts?
I'm probably 25% and coming up.
At 0 rate cuts?
Yep, because the inflation has been stubborn. We saw unemployment is higher. I mean, the government's saying that unemployment rate was staying the same, and But we don't see how that's possible with all the layoffs that have been announced, and many states are announcing that jobless claims and unemployment checks that you can get for 6 weeks, those are up. So how is it that national stats are more moderate, but the states are seeing it worse? We think Washington's playing with the stats, and when you look at all that, that means it's even a potential mild recession the second half of this year.
Mild recession. They won't announce that, obviously, but
oh, hell no. They will do everything possible not to say the R word for fourth quarter of the year.
Let me go to the second part of this question, which is the oil, right? U.S. crude oil falls below $85 as traders discount Iran-Israel war at risk, right, that we have. So this is a CNBC story. Let me read this to you. So U.S. crude oil dropped for the third consecutive trading session on Wednesday, dipping below $85 a barrel as market dismissed the risk of a wider war between Iran and Israel that could disrupt supplies. The West Texas Intermediate contract for May delivery declined 46% or 46 cents or 55% to $84.89 a barrel. June Brent futures were down 51 cents or 0.57% at $89.51 a barrel, and U.S. oil and global benchmark are down just under 1% this week. U.S. prices go about their business of unwinding some of the war premium that has been priced in due to the continuing tensions surrounding the Gaza conflict and the subsequent Iranian missile onslaught on Israel. John Evans, an analyst at oil broker PVM, wrote on a note on Wednesday. And by the way, this is another story that kind of goes with it. Direct Iran-Israel war could spike oil by $30 to $40. You know who says? Bank of America says. And they said this yesterday. So Bank of America predicts that a direct war between Iran and Israel could cause oil prices to go up 30 to 40 through 2025, and Brent potentially reaching $130 and U.S. crude oil soaring to $123 if Iranian crude suppliers are disrupted by up to 1.5 million barrels per day. Tom, you have inflation. That's one thing. You have interest rates. That's one thing. You have unemployment. That's one thing. You have oil, gas prices. That's one thing. What do you think is going to happen here with oil and gas prices?
Okay, all those first things you mentioned is like the flu. If oil moves like that, it's cancer on the economy.
Tell me why.
Because oil affects everything. Oil affects fuel, just transporting goods back and forth. And by the way, the U.S. consumer is so much in debt right now. We have a freight recession going on where the amount of freight being transported around is down. So you have that. So if oil goes up, air travel goes up immediately. Energy costs, just basic energy costs for your car goes up. Plastics go up. Plastic starts in a barrel of oil. You have then, of course, I've already mentioned, freight goes up. Oil affects everything. It's like the bad domino to fall in an economy. And by the way, they're saying, oh, it's under 85. The peak a year ago was 93.95. So we're all the way back up within $8 of last year's peak where we were panicking, and Joe Biden opened the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to take excess oil out there to kind of help the price. I mean, we're within shouting distance of this, and that's why when you ask me about, where am I? I'm 25% and rising that there'll be no rate cuts this year, that the economy is not nearly as good as it seems.
Tom, what do you always say? Numbers,
words talk, numbers scream.
The price of oil right now is about $80, $85. What is it right now?
Yeah, you're around there.
Okay. Historically, what should the price of oil be? $60, $70 in that range? What's your take?
So United States oil extraction need about a $60 a barrel to make a buck, because it takes like 50, 55
65 is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
60, 65. The oil sands in North Dakota and Alberta, they need about $55. It's more expensive to get the oil out of the shale as opposed to just plugging a hole in the ground in the Gulf of Mexico or in West Texas. And WTI stands for West Texas Intermediate Crude. So United States is a very happy place if oil just sits right there at 60. So you think, well, 85 to 60 is not too much. That's 25% more. I mean, you think 25%, that's bad inflation. And if it hits on $100 or 120, that's exactly double. 65 is a happy place.
What's the reality that oil is stable? Like, we're talking numbers right now. You say numbers scream. During 2020, I think oil went to like $0 a barrel. Basically, it was almost negative because they just no one was moving.
Yeah.
So you see what, even just with interest rates, bringing it back to Jerome Powell from a macro perspective, the Fed fund rate is what, 5.25 right now ish. So, and then the prime rate, which is what the consumer has to pay, is always about 3 points above that. So you're talking in the 8 range. Bingo, 5.25. So prime is about 8. Nonetheless, mortgages are at 8. Should we expect any stability from any of this anytime soon, or is it just like get used to the chaos?
I think we need the Middle East to calm the F down. Because that will,
when is that going to happen?
That will settle. No, and that's the problem. That will settle the oil markets.
Well, Tom, let me ask you a question, though. How much is Biden stopping the fracking, stopping the drilling here, affecting that? Like, I know he's depleted our reserve is almost finito.
Oh, well, whenever
like us drilling here.
Right, and I get so confused. I watch the news. Whenever I hear them talking about artificial intelligence, I always think they're talking about Biden. But when Biden sits there and basically looks in the camera and his policy is don't. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Where's the statesman in that? Where's the world leadership in that? Where is somebody stepping to the forward and saying, for this reason, this reason, this reason, you guys got to come to the table. I'm not going to let you keep fighting, and I'm going to come in here, and that's what we're going to do. We're not doing that today. Don't. Biden, I don't care who's in the White House. If that is your foreign policy is based on looking into the camera,
we're screwed.
That
Rob, can you pull up that number real quick I just sent you? And Adam, I know you got a question. I want to show you this as well. The chart I just sent you. Yeah, so check this out. Zoom in a little bit. This is the petroleum and other liquids. This is specifically oil, right? U.S. crude oil, first purchase price. This is from early 70s to today. Go down a little bit, Rob, to the bottom. Okay, so check this out. If you try to find the highest number, obviously what 65 was 10 years ago is 85 today, give or take. The same number is not going to stay the same number for us to break even. These companies need to make profit, right? If you go lower, keep going lower. So right there, you'll see what? A high. You'll see a high of 30 right there, 2000 to the right. And then you'll see 62. You'll see 73. Boom, 128.
2008 is crazy.
Look at 2008 right there. Wow. So if you go 2008, you got 87 in January, 89, 98, 106 in April, 118 in May, 127, 128, give or take July is what it is. That's a high, right? 128. Who's president at 2008 July, by the way?
Bush to Obama.
Okay, Bush to Obama. So 128. Then it goes down to 60, 50, and then goes to Trump. Trump comes in 16. You got 40, 30, 25. 60, 56, 31, 15. Damn, $15, $18. So super low. Then comes Biden, 2021.
The 15 was COVID low demand. Nobody was using oil because we were all locked down.
Right.
Couldn't give it away.
So then you got 15, 18, 38. Then you got 49, 56, 60, 59, 62. Then it goes to 80, 89, 107, 103, 108, 113, 110. Okay, 113, 100. So remember when gas prices, so now do this, Rob. Do me a favor and go to July 2022 gas prices. Just Google it separately. July 2022 gas prices. July, this should give the average person a sense of what could happen. July 2022 gas prices in America. See if a chart will show up telling you how much gas prices were.
It was not good. Remember that.
Is it showing you or AAA is not showing you? If you go to July gas prices, what website do you go to get that, Tom? Do you know? Like, is there a July 20? No, not that one. That's not going to show it to you. So July 2022. I want to really
just go
find
history.
That.
July 2022 gas prices history. And see if it'll find like a chart.
Rob, just go to bizdoc.com. It's all on there.
July 2022. Here we go. I found it. Okay. So July 2022, you're looking at 494, 499 peak. That's the national average, not California. 499 peak national average.
$5.
Yeah. So what is the national average right now, Rob? What is the national average right now?
I said it was like $4.
So if we go to the national average right now,
380 last week.
What is it?
360.
No. Go. What does it say? Yes.
Regular 4.
Okay, that's the one. 364.
Yep.
So let's just say 499, which is what, $1.36 more. What's $1.36 on 364? Can you do $1.36 on 364?
A little over 5.
So $1.36 divided by 364. Okay, 37%. So 37% is what it is. There you go. So if this thing all of a sudden today goes from where it's at to 125 a barrel. If it goes to 125 a barrel, gas prices national average will be 550. Can you go to California right now to see how much gas prices are in California right now?
And it's 38% on the tax in California.
Right. So if I go to California, gas prices today, $5.45, $2, $1.37%. So bump that up 37%, Rob. I know you're quick with math. So if you can do $5.45, increase it.
It's going to be like $7.
545, 0.37. So you got 750. So gas prices could go to 750 in California for regular, not premium. It'd be $8 for premium if this thing gets $125. That's what you need to know. So for those who, some people, go on dates on Ubers. Can you imagine what now you have to cut down your 2 days to 1 day a week?
Yeah, listen, babe, I can't send it today.
Catastrophic for, the Ubers, the Lyfts, all these, different kind of things that takes place. But that's what this means, basic math, what it could affect. And by the way, this is not just going to affect this Uber, food, everything's going to be going up. And this is the one thing that people will directly feel. Mm-hmm. This number they'll feel.
Because
and let me translate even further. That means to fill your tank with gas, and the average fill up I've read is 12.5 gallons. At that price, you're looking at $100.
Right.
It's $100 to fill your tank. $750.
Listen, I don't know about you guys. Because
Tell me about a school teacher. Tell me about a school teacher doing that every week. That's $400 a month on gas.
Yeah. I haven't gotten involved. I was going to say I concur because I'm not into this. The numbers.
I'm not into this whole energy thing.
But listen, just from going off of what you guys said, whoever's the current president, I'm voting for that guy. This Joe Biden guy. Oh my God!
You're
hearing those numbers, inflation, that's the type of that's what America likes.
You would think he's a Republican trying to help the oil guys out in Texas.
That's what you would think. Yeah, exactly. Right.
He's an OPEC man.
Yeah. Oh, I'm voting for Democrats for the rest of my life.
The reality is when gas prices are too high, consumers can't pay for it. They freak out. They stop traveling, stop spending. But when they're too low, oil companies all around the world basically start layoffs, start cutting thousands of workers, and they cut back on operations. So there needs to be some stability if they can figure it out.
Yeah, good luck.
But with war in that region of the world, the Middle East, the oil, no good.
No, that definitely doesn't. Go ahead, Tom.
It reminds me, there was a time where Saturday Night Live wasn't just a bunch of liberal tools. And you go back to when Jimmy Carter was president. Dan Aykroyd did a skit where Dan Aykroyd was Jimmy Carter. And he said, I have a new policy. Inflation is our friend. Haven't you ever wanted to wear a $1,000 suit? Well, with my administration, next year's you can go to Penny's and get one.
Jimmy Carter.
Tom the Biz Doc.
Yeah,
no, that was not bad.
While we're on economy, let's wrap this economy story up, Vinny. So here we go. Next one is the U.S. freight recession keeps getting deeper.
What?
J.P. Hunt, a leading freight company, experiences a significant decline in stock value following disappointing first quarter earnings, with profits plummeting by $70.3 million compared to the previous year, and revenue falling short of forecast by 9%, dropping by $2.94 billion. Weak trucking volume and sluggish demands contribute to J.P. Hunt's struggle, reflecting broader challenges in the freight market, and which has been grappling with a prolonged slowdown since the pandemic. Bank of America senior transportation analyst Ken Hoexter noted demand remains weak. Pricing is remaining at really historic low levels. Tom, what's going on here?
I'll give you 3 data points. Our government is telling us the economy is fine. Consumers have $1.1 trillion in credit card debt. The economy is fine. Buy now, pay later. They're delinquent on buy now, pay later. The consumer is fine. So guess what? The consumer is not buying. Consumer purchases are dropping, and therefore there's a lack of demand for freight services to truck all that stuff around. And so now you've got freight at historic lows. So what's happening to the income of those truck drivers? It's dropping. This is bad. So the freight recession is basically telling us that there's not demand to be transporting stuff around the United States. Let's translate that. Why isn't there demand? Because the consumer is more tapped out. But the economy is fine. And look at the jobs report. Oh, wait, those are a bunch of part-time jobs people are getting, because for every job that was on the job report, we lost 1.2 full-time jobs. So the freight recession is you saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, and your mom puts a thermometer in your mouth and says, you have a fever of 103, you shouldn't go to school today.
Let me
That's what's going
kind
on.
of give it a little personal finance context.
I'm befuddled, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just completely befuddled. This is egregious. Adam, go ahead.
No, when there's deep talks of logistic recession, you're befuddling. I completely understand why the dynamics of the GDP would concur with your constituency.
Yeah, my
makes total
constituents
sense.
are furious right now.
It makes total sense. But, you know, there's 3.5 million truckers in America. I mean, the vast majority of people that do these jobs literally is just driving stuff around in America. A lot of what America is just get from point A to point B, drop it off, turn around, let's go. And the highways,
bustle.
let's go hustle, bustle. Shout out to these guys. And by the way, 90% of the truckers, they're men. So when you're talking about logistics and freight and layoffs,
You're saying
and
90% of truckers are men?
Yes.
So you're saying those 10% are wearing got mullets and
Well, listen, everybody knows that the favorite hangout spot is rest stops for truckers. All the good stuff is going on.
Oh,
there.
man, brother. Hey, man, preach
But
on, brother.
logistics is driving people around, moving things around. Even the Uber drivers out there, logistics and moving stuff around is what makes
Adam,
America tick,
do you make
tick, tick.
when you send the Uber drivers to pick up the girls, you make the Uber driver get out and open the door for the girl?
I only
Like, are you
hire
gentlemen? You hire gentlemen. Okay, good.
They got to have a mustache and a rose.
By the way,
That's it.
transportation as an industry.
Yeah.
We had one of our clients that we're consulting for, guys doing $40 million a year. He's down 70%.
Oh, my God.
Due to not getting loads. And I said, you know, why are you not getting loads? Then another guy jumps in who's part of this mastermind. He says, yeah, we're experiencing. So whether it's on the load side where you receive loads to go, whether it's your own trucks, right now trucks, guys are selling their trucks because their trucks are not moving. The only way trucks make you money is when they're moving. If they're not moving, they're sitting there like, I don't even know why I'm making these payments. So sometime when you're trying to get into the transportation business, you may go buy 50 trucks at a time. Say 50 out of $150,000, do the math, $7.5 million, and boom, it's like an annuity. Go, ship this, go. And you're making that cash for it, right, with the trucks that you have.
And trucks just sitting there is basically like an empty hotel room or an empty seat on a plane. It ain't making no money.
No.
And by the way, just maybe a little bit of good news. If it's the guy who I think you're talking about, he's lost a lot of weight in the last handful of years, if it's who I'm thinking about. So he's at least looking good.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Okay, maybe it's a different guy.
We got a few of them that we're working with. Okay, all right, so sounds good. We'll see what happened there. Next one I want to get into is Iran-Israel, okay? So emboldened, Iran makes dangerous gamble on open confrontation. This is a Wall Street Journal story. So Major General Hossein Salami's declaration, we have decided to create a new equation, encapsulates Iran's strategic shift towards direct confrontation with Israel, making a departure from its previous tactic. The attack reflects Iran's response to mounting pressure from its axis of resistance allies, as highlighted by Ali Akbar Ahmedian, who noted the decision who was made due to growing frustration by Yemen's Houthis and others in the resistance that Iran was not doing anything. Save face, do something. Despite the warning issued to Oman and Switzerland, the scale of the attack indicates a deliberate effort by Iran to inflict substantial damage on Israel, raising questions about Hezbollah's potential role in a future escalations. As emphasized by Chuck Freilich, the shadow war will continue. And meanwhile, Iran threatens to attack Israel with weapons it has not used before as it gets military support from Russia. Iran is reportedly getting a terrifying arsenal from Russia, including anti-aircraft launchers and painful anti-aircraft launchers, fighter jets, and it's threatening to fire weapons it has never used before in a severe, extensive, and painful response to the slightest action by Israel. Abul Fazar Amoui, a spokesperson of the Iranian Parliament National Security Committee, told a local newspaper Monday that the Islamic Republic will confront any Israeli aggression and respond to it. We are ready to use weapons that we have not used before. We have plans for all scenarios, and we call on the Zionists to act rationally, he says. And Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi warned Israel that if it takes even the slightest action, it will face a severe, extensive, and painful response. Adam.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, here's what we know. This war just got real. This was the first time that Iran has ever struck Israeli soil. We know that Iran has been the king of proxy wars. We know the Triple H crew, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, and Hamas. But now they're, whether it's serving red meat to their base or whether that they're actually feeling emboldened and they want to do something, they're putting their money where their mouth is. Now, here's what I will say. As far as an American perspective, it's pretty clear. One country is an ally that loves America, and one country literally yells death to America in the streets. I think you know who the answer is to that. What Israel should do, in my humble opinion, I'm not in the briefing rooms with Netanyahu, with Benny Gantz, or anything like that, is implement the Mossad-type tactics, not the IDF tactics. You need to surgically take out who you need to take out. I don't think anyone benefits from just striking Iran. And if you are going to strike Iran, nuclear capabilities or anything that involves anything nuclear would be the play. But here's my question to you, Pat, and to the panel and to our guys. Diplomatic. We talk about diplomacy. We're talking about good relations. There's the axis of resistance or the axis of evil. There's three countries that are top of the list. You have Iran or the Islamic Republic of Iran. You have Russia and you have China. What are the chances of a good to at least fair relationship with the United States? Meaning the chances of Russia having a decent relationship, the chances of Iran having a decent relationship or working relationship, and the chances of China. How would you put that?
Under Biden?
In general, just with America overall, because we know most of these countries, they have leaders for 10, 20, 50 years. How long has the supreme leader of Iran been?
Are you saying to have a peaceful relationship with America?
I'm saying, what are the chances? Yes.
For Iran to have
Iran, Russia, and China, in that order.
Iran, Russia, and China to have a peaceful relationship with America.
A fair, balanced
No,
relationship.
so there's a few things, and Tom, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. Here's a few things that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
No matter what business you're in, you have to understand the ambition of your opponent and never downplay the ambition of your opponent. Okay, so guess what? Russia is ambitious. And what's their ambition? Leave us alone. We want to be a superpower. You know, we want to be somebody that you cannot be messing around with. And we want the respect. Russia's got how many nuclear warheads? They got plenty of them, right?
Thousands.
We've seen the number, 8,300 or 10,000. You can pull it up to see where Russia's at. Can you pull up how many warheads Russia has?
It's enough to end humanity.
What is the number that they have? 5580 has the largest confirmed stockpile of nuclear warheads in the world. 5580.
How many, Rob?
Yeah, you can put the ranking and kind of see this. So China, what's China's ambition? China's ambition is clear. They want to be the biggest superpower in the world. Great. What's Iran's ambition? Is it ambition or is Iran driven by hatred? What is Iran driven by? Is Iran driven by selling their faith to the world? Like, is Russia driven by selling their religion to the world?
No.
Russia's driven by selling what?
Oil.
their power.
Yep.
And imposing their power and their history to the world.
True.
Is China driven by selling Buddhism? You know,
Confucianism. They're actually a non-religion state.
Right. So what's China's trying to do? They're just trying to tell you we're better at strategy than you, and we're going to be better generals than you to take over, right? Yes. So the ambition there is economically to say we're going to be a superpower, right? Yeah. Iran, unfortunately, and by the way, let me tell you something. You know, I get some next from some people. Like, I can't believe you said this, and you don't know the interpretation of death to America. How dare you say something like that?
Really?
Coming from a guy who's never lived in a Middle Eastern country, telling me what I should be interpreting with a thing that I saw as a witness, like not a 2-year-old kid or a 6-year-old kid, a 10-year-old kid that I'm leaving, and I saw this stuff, right? So look, do you know the first time anybody ever used the phrase death upon anybody? Do you know what's the first country ever that said death upon anyone?
What is it?
North America. North Korea. You know who number 2 was? Iran.
Yeah.
So North Korea says that you can pull up first time anyone used death upon America. Just type in first time anyone ever used death upon America.
Well, I'm assuming that's in the 1950s during the Korean War.
Well, pull it up. That? Death upon anybody. Okay, look it up. If you go through the history. Okay, not death penalty. It says the first time we ever used death upon, first time phrase, death upon America used. You'll see it goes to the revolution, which is the death to America. There you go. Okay, so Death America was an anti-American political slogan used in many countries, including Iran, North Korea, Afghanistan. All of those guys hate us, by the way, just so everybody knows. And look who's at the end, by the way, Russia, right? Yeah. But all of those guys can't stand us. The slogan was first used in North Korea during the Korean War. What year is that? 50s. Do you know when was the next time they used it? 79. Do you know who used it? Iran. Why is Iran saying that? By the way, here's a crazy stat for you guys. Here's a crazy stat for you. Sir. You ready for this crazy stat? When did Israel become a country?
1948.
Do you know what was the number one Muslim majority country in the world to announce that Israel was a sovereign state? Turkey was number one. Do you know what was the number two Muslim majority leading country in the world to announce that Israel is a sovereign state? Do you know,
I would assume Iran at that point.
You know what year it was? 1953. You know who was running Iran at the time? A guy named the Shah. So if you're talking about, can Iran ever have a good relationship with anybody else? Not if their core is based on hate. By the way, I was on Piers Morgan yesterday, and we had a great conversation. I was on Piers 2 days ago. He puts it up yesterday. We'll play a clip here, and we can react to it. Some of you guys didn't like what I said. Great. And some of you guys like what I said. But listen, that's the part of it. Here's what you have to realize with what my MO is, guys. And I hate to disappoint you. Please understand, I don't wake up in the morning trying to make any more new friends. I got great friends in my life. I have people in my life I love. And anybody that wants to, a slow brewing relationship, great. I don't need more confirmation in my life to get more people to like me or not like me or all that stuff. I'm 45 years old. I know who I am. I don't need any of that stuff. I got a very good relationship with that man upstairs that I'm trying to keep as good as I can possible. But this is kind of where I come from. You don't like it? Don't tune in. Go elsewhere. I am skeptical about everybody in power.
Thank God.
Yesterday, we're talking to Suge Knight. And guess what? You know who he's calling out? The people who taught Diddy the bad habits. And me and Vinny are sitting here, and Suge Knight says, who do you think taught Diddy these bad habits? Do you think one day Diddy woke up and started wanting to be with 13-year-old boys? Yeah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, where the hell is this guy going with this? And then he starts dropping names. By the way, 100% of the names he mentions, guess where they're from? And guess what industry they're from? And guess what their background is, except for a couple of them, Clive, and I'll let you listen to the name that he gives and how he breaks it down. He says, Usher has a chance because Diddy taught Usher. And I hope Usher stops, right? So some of these bad habits are being taught down to somebody. What's on the flip side of it? Guys, Iran hates America. They don't love America. Anybody that starts a phrase, death upon America, I have a problem with that. Anybody that sits there and says, death upon Israel, I have a problem with that. Anybody that says death upon anybody, I have a problem with that. I'm an American. I'm not from Israel. I lived in Iran. I saw what happened there. But the last time Iran and U.S. had a healthy relationship, it was under the great Shah of Iran. The Shah of Iran. Not Khomeini, not Khamenei, not Raisi, not any of these guys. It was under the Shah. It was peaceful. And by the way, he still had challenges with the Zionists. He called out the media in the U.S. He called them out regularly, but he still had a very good relationship with Israel. And they were the number two Muslim state in the world to announce Israel as a sovereign state. So in today's climate, with how Iran's being ran, no, it's not going to happen anytime soon. The moment Iran falls and it topples and there's a new regime that actually accepting Western democracy, certain values that we have, then yes, till then, this is not going away.
By the way, fully agree with you, and thank you for that, and I'll be quick. In that order, I would say China, we want zero interest in a conflict with China. Competitors, yes, we use that term. I would say the chances of a decent relationship with China, whether it's a Trump, whether it's Biden, is 20%, 25%. Like, there's decency there. I would love to get to a point where we're not enemies with Russia. Maybe 10%, 20% chance of that happening. 0% chance we're going to have a good working relationship with the theocratic thug-like regime of the Islamic nation of Iran.
And that's what it doesn't help. And we've talked about this beating a dead horse. When your leader is weak as shit, No, Adam, that number is getting smaller and smaller because who respects somebody that doesn't know where he is? He's wearing sunglasses indoors. He's falling apart. Russia, nothing was going on, all right? Trump, shook Putin's hand, almost ripped his shoulder off a little bit. But think about it. But guess what the problem was with China? The moment Trump was like, hey, I'm going to hold them accountable. They're going to pay their fair share. All of a sudden, a disease came out of freaking Wuhan. Weird.
What Pat said is correct. China wants to be the controlling economic power of the world.
Yep.
To do that, you need customers. And they're willing to manipulate the game to be number one with espionage, funding proxies the other way, distracting us. What do they want to do? We're an economic competitor. How do they distract us? Support proxies, support the war over there. Russia wants economic legitimacy and doesn't want to live in the shadow of post-World War II Western expansion and economic might. They want that. How are they going to get there? It was the Cold War, and they're using espionage. They're doing things like that. And that's exactly what they do. They don't want to annihilate us. They want to control us and to pass us. And it is an ugly, terrible sausage-making process they're going through. Yeah. But Iran, and I'll give you an example. Somalia had no friends, no nothing, just open hatred. Their own government fell. There's nothing. There's nothing there. There's not even a country. There's not even a functioning government. The UN sees Somalia as this thing that just sits there with a lack of any function. And by the way, that's the end game. If all you do is hate and all you want is there's no outcome you want on the economic playing field of a somewhat rational world. I see China as a rational actor, but using very dark techniques to achieve their goals.
By the way, guess what, though? You know what? I understand that.
I can play that game.
Look, if I go to a bar, and if you're fighting in the UFC, what rules are you fighting under?
UFC rules.
If you're boxing, Devin Haney, your name is Ryan Garcia, what rules are you fighting under?
The boxing
UFC octagon rules.
If you go to the Comité or the Pride or anything, what rules are you fighting under?
The specific fight that you're at.
If you're fighting at a bar, late night, back of the bar, in an alley at 3 o'clock in the morning, what rules are you fighting?
Zero.
Except whatever the laws that you're going to go to jail with.
Yeah.
Now, take that to the world level of you are your own country, that you're managing and creating your own laws. Your name is China. What do you think? Like, do you wake up in the morning, like, if I was the president, I'm sitting with G, I'm sitting there looking at G saying, yeah, in my mind, I know for a fact you will do anything to destroy my country.
Yeah.
And I still have to figure out a way to work with you.
Yeah.
Now, how do I work with that? There's many ways to work with that. But you're not sitting there being like, oh my God, what are we going to... No, Iran flat out is saying, do something. By the way, here's what we're not even talking about. This whole thing that's going on, you know what Iran is saying, Tom? Iran is flat out saying, do something, FYI. You know what happens if you go to a bar? You ever seen these guys? I don't know if you've seen this one guy. There was a video of this cholo. He's like, hey, homie, what'd you say? Hey, Vato, what did you... And he takes, you know what gang I'm from? And he shows what gang he's from, okay, in the parking lot. You ever seen this?
And the guy kicks the shit
and
out
the
of him.
white guy goes like this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, yes.
I love that.
You're like,
He's like, what's up, fool?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know what
If you ever see somebody just do that,
Yeah.
Get the hell out of it.
But what's the point? You know what the point is? In that moment, you're like, come on, bro. Did you have to do that, right? You know what the moral of the story is? Iran, you can't back down now.
Dope.
Because the moment you say, you know what, if you do something, I'm going to kick your ass. You do it.
And now the guy takes his shirt off.
You have to do it, bro.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden they go like this,
you better.
If Israel does that. So now the question then becomes, what's Israel and Netanyahu going to do? You think he's going to let at a national level Iran embarrass them? What do you think?
Oh,
I simply don't understand. By the way, I want to play a clip for you guys from Piers Morgan yesterday, and we'll react to it. Go ahead and play this clip at the end, because Piers is obviously a guy. We have very good conversations. He had you on. You crushed it when you were on last week or 2 weeks ago.
Him.
And when it comes on to Ukraine, we'll have our own debates, and he'll always bring that up. And this is a moment as well that we got into a little bit. Go ahead and play this clip.
Giving Putin the land that he's taken, and say he does that, and say that you're wrong about Putin. Say that it turns out he does have imperialistic ambitions beyond what people think he has, and that emboldened by America's retreat, not just there, but also Afghanistan and so on, he's watched how America's conducted itself on the foreign stage. Say he then does attack somewhere like Poland, which is a NATO country. What then?
Your face is hilarious.
Piers, you are smarter than this. You've been around, you've interviewed a lot of people. You know this world better than I do. You've talked to Trump many, many times. You have a relationship with him. It's actually a very entertaining relationship that's up and down, and then you go to Charlemagne the God and you defend him in a different way. I love your relationship with him. It's very fascinating, truly. But, Piers, you know Putin's not going to do shit to Poland if Trump's the president, because when an alpha and an alpha get in a room and they negotiate, there's a fair level of respect and admiration for each other. We can look at case study. The great thing about what I love the 2024 elections for is the following. Here's why I love the case study of what we have today. I think it's going to be used for decades, if not centuries to come. And here's what the case study is. We can now officially, Piers, say we had 4 years of Trump administration, okay, to look at, and we have almost 4 years of Biden to look at. We can compare economy to economy, peace to peace, wars to wars, unemployment to unemployment. We can look at every single thing. And there is zero proof from those who are skeptical on your end, worried about the fact that Putin's going to attack Poland, that Trump would allow something like that to happen, because it never happened under his regime during the 4 years that was there. We feared ISIS. When's the last time you used the word ISIS? We feared, this guy went after Qasem Soleimani, who was supposed to be the number 2, number 3 guy in the world in Iran, and potentially was going to run Iran. And he was a leader of all these guys behind closed doors, all these proxy wars. You killed that guy? That's kind of like in the mob family. You think about back in the days, you go and you kill Ben Siegel. You go kill the main guys. That you don't do something like that. He did. That's what Trump did. Audacity, risk at the highest level. You went after a guy like that? I did. Everyone in the marketplace says, okay, guess what? You ever seen the movie American Gangster?
Yeah.
You know, with Denzel Washington? Yeah. You remember that scene when he's sitting at the cafeteria and he's sitting with his cousins. Their cousins are just starting to realize that Frank Lucas has become a powerful guy. He sees a guy down the street. He says, he gets up, he walks out, goes to the guy, puts the hat down. He says, where's my 10%? The guy laughs at him. He takes him out. Cousins, everybody sees him. He comes back, sits down, wipes his hands, has the breakfast, and they start having a conversation together. Trump did that to Qasem Soleimani on a world stage. On the world stage.
Love that laugh.
Do you know what level of audacity that takes? Who has that kind of audacity? Not a lot of people. He did. That could have been risky, because to some of us, we're like, if Iran retaliates, you have the right to not retaliate. They took out your number 1 general. They didn't. Strength is one way to lead, and when America's strong, fortunately, the world is at peace. When America's not strong, like we are today, the world is not at peace.
It's true.
Patrick Ben-David, always great to talk to you
Bingo.
and hear your perspective. Thank you very much indeed.
Likewise. It's the problem we got today. Everybody feels bold to go and do whatever they want to do. So if you got a guy like that in the House, do you think that would be happening today if Trump was president? You think this is what's happening today?
Are you crazy?
You brought up movies, and I think movies mimic reality so well. And when I think of Iran and I think of Israel right now, I think of that scene in Indiana Jones where the guy in the black is waving the sword around.
Just takes out
and
the gun.
Indiana Jones just looks at him because he's tired. Indiana Jones has been fighting and running away from bad guys. He's tired. He's sweaty. He just draws and
Shoots him. Yeah.
and it was very quick. I mean, and that's what I feel like is right now. There's a lot of people that they call it saber rattling for a reason. It's like rattling the saber to remind people that you've got a sword. But then you have people that look at you and say, "Are you going to use that? You're not going to use that. You're not going to take this step."
One part that I thought was super interesting, by the way, awesome. Just when you laugh like that, you know you made a point. But you talked about who's in your ear. You talk about this all the time. Who's in your ear? Something very interesting, and we talked about these articles. You know, it's who's in your ear above you, who's in your ear next to you, and who's also in your ear below you. You know, we make assumptions like who's in the Islamic Republic of Iran's ear above them. Well, maybe China. They've invested into Iran how many billions of dollars?
$400 billion over 25 years.
Insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Possibly Russia. They're selling them weapons. But who's in their ear below them motivating the mullahs of Iran to do something about it? Well, they said in this article here, it's the Houthi rebels basically saying, look, we're doing all this chaos in the sea. Where are you at? Where you at, mullahs? What are you going to do here? The theocrats, the Islamics running Iran? Do something about it. So whether it's the Houthis or the Triple H crew, the Hamas, Hezbollah's, Houthis saying, come on, help us out here. Whether it's the pirates at sea, whether it's the Shiite militias.
You're right.
They're in their ear.
By the way, Iran is the biggest destabilizer of the world.
Yes.
They're the biggest exporter of terrorism in the world.
Yes.
Name me somebody more. Now, I know people who don't like America, the first country they're going to throw on the America. Really? Yeah. Okay. Do you know what Iran's misery index right now is? It's 61.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what it was 6 years ago? 30. It's gone from 30 to 61. Do you know
It's actually higher now, by the way.
Do you know what their corruption
73
today? Do you know what Iran's corruption index is? Corruption index out of 180 countries, they rank 148.
Oh.
You know what the world average score is? World is 43.
Where are we at?
Do you know Middle East's average is 34? North Africa's average is 34. You know what Iran's average is? 24.
Robin,
The level of corruption in Iran. The people of Iran are fed up, but they're afraid of what 80% of people in Iran. Dude, can you imagine? Imagine you are Iranian.
Okay.
And your country is in this thing called World Cup. And your country is facing off a team. You know who they're playing against? U.S. And imagine you as an Iranian don't want Iran to win because you don't want the government to get the victory of beating your number one enemy, which is U.S. And you're living in Iran.
Wow.
Did you understand what I just said right there?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like Michael Jordan's son rooting for his dad to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's the weirdest thing to see. So that means you are losing your people. And some people who are, unfortunately, they have a certain level of hate for America. I understand because of what you've been fed. I get it. I was a guy that lived in Iran for 10 years as a kid. I was told America is the most evil empire in the world. I was told that for many, many years. No problem. I'm not sitting here telling you, we don't have a reputation of what we've done.
Of course. You can't put
At
that
the
aside.
same time, you name a country that's positively impacted the world for the better. No one even comes close to this country called America.
Not even
it's
close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even
Just
close.
to validate everything you're saying, and I want to show this thing real quick. Number one, even the Arab countries in the region know that the biggest destabilizing force and the pariah of the world is Iran. That's why when you have this strike that's happening, telegraphed, against Israel, against the Iron Dome, you have countries, not only the U.S., not only UK, not only France, you have UAE, you have Saudi, and you have Jordan saying, not on our watch, stepping up to help them because they know that Israel isn't the real enemy.
But I'm going to tell you something.
Islamic Republic.
I'm going to tell you something here as well, though. I'm going to tell you something here as well that, again, this is why in my brain, guys, I guarantee you I have the biggest contradictions and arguments always in my brain. I also think Netanyahu could have prevented this. I also think Netanyahu could have prevented this. I also think he wants this fight, unfortunately. And I don't know whether it's legacy driven. I don't know if it's promises he's made to a relative that none of us are aware of, that's a mother or a father or a grandfather or somebody that he feels he's loyal to. I also think he wants this because he wants this fight. And I don't like that either. Because as a leader of your country, your job is to make sure you keep that place safe. And I'm not sitting here saying, well, they were not the ones that attacked Hamas in the first place and da-da-da-da. Totally get it. And by the way, one guy next to me saying, you really think they're not giving up the hostages because they're not willing to give up the hostages? Or do you think they're not giving up the hostages because the hostages are all dead? Why do you think they're not giving up the hostages, right? Because here's what we are going to realize. I'm telling you, January 21st, January 20th, inauguration. 2025, Trump gets elected. If Hamas doesn't release the prisoners, they're not alive.
Oh, for sure. I got you.
If you don't release them, they were not alive the entire time anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm also not one that sits here and is like, oh my God, Netanyahu, this. I don't trust a lot of his sequencing and his decision-making process that he made.
Well, the people don't like him. They're protesting him in the streets
not a fan
every
of the way
day.
I'll tell you this, but by the way, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that listen, this is the beauty of a democracy. You're going to have a lot of disagreements. I mean, how many people agree with Trump, disagree with Biden, here, that? That's the way it works. In Israel, they have the Knesset, they have the parliament, that's what's going on there. if you can scroll out on this, there's the three leaders of Israel right now. You have Benjamin Netanyahu, you have the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and you also have the military chief Benny Gantz, who's this is the equivalent, literally, of Donald Trump sitting on the left and Joe Biden sitting on the right, and someone moderate saying, let's figure this out. That's what this picture represents. Do you think those guys all agree?
Who's the guy in the middle, by the way?
That's he's the defense minister.
Is he a powerful guy?
That's Yoav Gallant, defense minister. That'd be like
I know, but is he like a Mattis? Is he that level of
he's
a guy?
a Mattis, correct.
Okay, all right.
That's that picture.
All right.
So if you think those three guys disagree, by the way, look at the title of the article. The war leaders don't trust one another.
Well, that's not good.
But by the way, imagine if I would love if we were at war to see a picture of Joe Biden or Obama, Trump, sitting at the same table saying, guys, let's figure this shit out. They are at least somewhat unified. So do I agree with you that maybe Netanyahu has different intentions than other people? Yes, that's why they have
I have too many
elections.
questions, man. I just have way too many questions for myself. And I just have way too many questions for myself. But for me, when I'm seeing what's going on today, what is prevalent, no matter what the times are, a strong leader lowers temperatures.
100%.
Period. You got that uncle in the house when kids are acting up, and he raises his voice one time, everything goes down. If that guy's missing, everybody's fighting. You need this is why. Oh my God, man! Like you look at any freaking great organization. Any great organization that's striving and growing behind closed doors, there's a shot caller that's respected, feared, loved, admired, a little bit of everything. This is why you have to value great leadership so much. Unfortunately, the problem with the majority of people, these journalists, when it comes down to strong leaders, most journalists don't relate to what it is to be a strong leader.
Because they're soft.
Journalists are did you see? That's so. But strong leadership, to be in there making the decisions, that is not an easy job. It's very complicated, and but yeah, and we're feeling it today.
Yeah.
We're feeling it today. We're seeing it.
By the
today.
way, love the interview with Pierce Morgan. Last point, we talk about follow the money here. We have this border bill, potentially $100 billion, $93 billion, what they're talking about.
It's stalled right now.
And it's three countries on the border: Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and then the American border. I love what you said about the border. Love the analogy you gave. You're making $27,000 a year. You're $34,000 in debt. If you just follow the money, we've given as much money to Ukraine this year since the start of the Ukraine war, almost since the history of Israel. Since the history of Israel, since 1948, we've given approximately $130 billion total. So now they're talking about a $3 billion package or a $14 billion package. How much money, legit question, how much money have we and the world given to Ukraine? I'm guessing at least $100 billion.
More than $100 billion.
Okay.
And that scumbag keeps coming saying, give me
Greatest
money, I
beggar
pay
of all
back,
time.
I pay
How
back,
much?
give me money back.
There's $75 billion just by the U.S. The European has committed approximately $93 billion. Pat, you're a math guy. What's that?
Committed, bro. But that's
Yes.
168. That's committed.
Okay.
That's not that. That's committed.
So I love when Pierce tried to catch you with but you say intervention. How much are you going to give to Ukraine? How much are you going to give to Israel? And you're like, look, that's like giving someone $1 million and someone giving $1,000. Big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, and by the way, this leads to this other story. Check this out. Google staffers from New York City, California, Seattle offices to protest $1.2 billion Israel contract. Google employees, part of the group of No Tech for Apartheid, staged protests across multiple offices, including California, New York City, and Seattle. They demanded the cancellation of Google's involvement in the project. Nimbus, a $1.2 billion contract with Israel, accusing the Israeli government of genocide. One protest stated, "We refuse to complicit in the oppression of Palestinians." Protesters occupied the office of Google Cloud. CEO Thomas Kurian in California and the 10th floor of Google's Manhattan office denouncing the company's ties to Israel. The sit-in was live streamed on Twitch, showing employees wearing, Rob, do you have this, wearing traditional headscarves and displaying slogans against the company's alleged harassment of Arab and Muslim employees. According to the protester, Google's actions amount to harassment, bullying, and censorship. Rob, if you can play this clip, go for it.
And in this moment right now, we're over half a year into this genocide. We charge you with genocide.
These are Google employees.
Yeah,
we know that the genocide in Gaza is is the first AI-powered genocide. So we find that big tech is at the forefront of kind of like streamlining this genocide against Palestinians.
Google and Amazon, there's a deal. Is there a government called Project Nimbus? Rob, can you pull up what's Project Nimbus? Tom, are you familiar with Project Nimbus?
My understanding is it's a AI project with the government of Israel that there's multiple technology companies participating in, just like many governments contract for cloud services and other things.
Let's read this. So project is a cloud computing project of the Israeli government's military, Israeli finance ministry that announced April 2021 a contract to provide the government, the defensive establishment, and others with an all-encompassing cloud solution. Under the contract, the companies will establish local cloud sites that will keep information within Israeli borders under strict security guidelines. Project Nimbus has 4 planned phases. The first phase is purchasing and contracting, constructing the cloud infrastructure, and the second is crafting government policy for moving operations into the cloud, and the third is moving operations onto the cloud, and the fourth is implementing, optimizing, and operations under $1.2 billion, which is Google and Amazon together. Criticism: the contract has drawn rebuke and condemnation from companies, shareholders, as well as employees over concerns of the project that will lead to further abuse of Palestinian human rights. Got it. Specifically, very welcome. Ariel, who worked as a marketing manager at Google Education Products, was an outspoken opponent of the project, was given the ultimatum of moving to Sao Paulo within 17 days of losing her job. In a letter announcing her resignation to her colleagues, Curran wrote that Google systematically silences Palestinians, Jewish, Arab, and Muslim voices concerned about Google's... Wait, listen to that. Google systematically silences Palestinians, Jewish, Arab, and Muslim voices concerned about Google's complicity in violations of Palestinian. Why would you silence Jewish if that's just like an oxymoron? Human rights to the point of formally retaliating against workers and creating an environment of fear. Yeah, so organizations...
Anybody that criticizes what's happening is...
I mean, I believe that partially.
For sure, it's Google.
Organizations such as Jewish Voices for Peace and MP Power Change, a campaign called No Take for Apartheid. Yeah. Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
This is just a inspired person who has a soapbox and is, speaking out against the company that pays her. And my favorite line in this: she filed retaliation complaints with Google's Human Resources Department and with the National Labor Relations Board, which dismissed her case based on lack of evidence. Gosh, that's really rough. So yelling isn't evidence. Basically, you've got Google staffers that are just carrying on here, waving the Palestinian flag for cause. And by the way, there are citizens that are Jewish, citizens that are Palestinian, that are caught in the middle of this terrible war, and they're dying. These are citizens that are dying on the ground. We need a ceasefire. We need a solution to this. We need humanitarian relief to kind of to bring things back to reality and to bring some healing. But you know what? When you speak out against your employer like this, I think 28 of them were fired last night. I think this morning, Rob, don't we have headlines this morning that maybe we didn't catch here?
Yeah, they were fired.
That they came in this morning and they're like, okay, give me your laptop, give me your badge, see ya.
Yeah, 28 fired.
There we go. So it's thank you very much. You've interfered long enough. You have a right to free speech, but you don't have a right to interfere with the business. Thank you for playing.
Here's what I'll say about these people. They are the smartest, dumbest people in the world. And I mean that literally. You're smart enough to work at Google, but you're not dumb enough to actually do some research on certain topics. Since this war has started, I've actually done a ton of research, not just go with emotion here. So I firmly believe some of these people, their hearts are in the right place. Just their head is stuck in the clouds. So they're using buzzwords like genocide and apartheid, and they're shouting things like, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I guarantee you 90% plus of these people have no clue what river or what sea they're even talking about. They have no clue what river or sea even exists over there. You're talking about east of the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. What that is the land of Israel. Basically, that means like, yeah, we want it all. We want to kill every person that lives in this land. Did you know that? They've done interviews with people protesting. The most poignant example was a guy who was protesting in London. I think Konstantin Kisin was been on the show. He's like, oh, by the way, do you know what this means? He's like, I don't really know, mate. I just, they gave me the sign. I'm just walking around River to the Sea. Just want people to be free. Like, he had no clue.
Yeah.
And he's calling for literally the genocide of Jews. So they don't know what they're talking about. By the way, I don't know if there's a story right here that the House approves a resolution condemning the Palestinian rallying cry of from the river to the sea, basically because it's genocide. Last two things real quick. Genocide. Yeah. Jews know a thing or two about genocide. 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. 30,000 people have been killed in Gaza. It's horrible. Horrible what's happening there, but it's war. They're going after Hamas. If they wanted to, right now they're stuck in Rafah. We've seen the Egyptian border in Rafah. I'm sure you have a video of that, Rob. But if they literally wanted to commit genocide, they could literally go kill 1 million people to date, but they don't. Okay? They literally could. I ask you, if Hamas had 1 million people cornered in Israel, what would they do? They'd kill them all. The last thing, the apartheid thing, guys, the Hamas crew, go look it up. There's 10 million people living in Israel, 10 million. 20%, 2 million people are Arabs. 20% of Israel are Arab Muslims, so they can live there. Now, I challenge you to go look deeper on a map in the Middle East, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Lebanon, whether it's Syria, whether it's Afghanistan. Pick a country. They've expelled pretty much all the Jews, by the way. First they come for the Jews, then it's the Christians. How many Christians have been expelled from all these countries? How many Christians, how many churches have been attacked? It doesn't just start with the Jews. A lot of these people, and this is not all Muslims, not all, these are the radicals. They want the caliphate. They want to have Sharia law, and they're coming for it. And I believe when they say death to America, death to Israel, I take them at their word.
And Adam, when you say these people are the dumbest, smartest people ever, I take out the smart. They're the dumb. Look at these people. It's 2024. They're all wearing masks as if they work. There's no freaking pandemic. These are the Democratic voting base. And look at how, like, all the women. Show me one attractive woman in this whole.
Zero.
She's wearing blue hair. All these people are freaking losers. And that's the voting base of the Democratic Party.
Problem is, you can't even tell if they're attractive. You put a mask on, I can't tell it. Maybe that girl in the front could be attractive.
PBD,
I can't tell.
But here's the thing.
They're not. I can guarantee
this
that.
just sums up.
Maybe.
And the word genocide is in rainbow color. Like, what are we even talking about? You want me to listen to these freaking people? Because, by the way, 75% of the Democratic voting, it's single women. And I want to say,
why can't you be more tolerant? Why can't you be more tolerant?
Because 40% of them have mental problems on pills. Look at these people.
What's wrong with people that want to wear a mask? Maybe you hide your change there.
No,
maybe you hide some money there.
Breath, but guess what? It doesn't work. So, Adam, you hit the nail on the head, as you say. They're wearing masks. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. That right there, these are the people that voted in Joe Biden. This group right here.
Do you think these guys all voted for Biden? Or
I'll bet you I don't have it, but $1 million.
Those people actually, to be honest with you, those actually people hate Joe Biden. Those are the people that are shouting genocide Joe.
Well, no.
That is the Rashida Tlaib crew. That is the AOC crew. That is the progressive base of the Democratic Party.
Wait, now
just letting you know.
Wait a minute, let me get. Well, they voted it in because they loved him, but now that they're like, oh my God, this Israel thing happened. Now they're turning.
You guys want to stay here? You want to go to Ben Shapiro and Andrew Tate?
Nobody loves Joe Biden. They hated Trump.
There's too much fighting here. Let's go to Shapiro.
Tom, I'll kiss your neck.
Ben Shapiro goes nuclear in takedown of Andrew Tate selling lies to men jerking off to his webcam business. This is Mediaite.
Hello.
Shapiro went on to read aloud the following social media post from Tate Thursday. Dear white men, you're effed. You're being replaced because none of you have children. Even those of you bitching about the replacement online little girls don't find the... Is this a video or is this a post he had? Grumption to F. I see white men bragging about having 5 kids as if it's an achievement. LOL. 5? LOL, per night, per year, right? Oh, all you white boys lost control of your women, and now they won't accept multiple wives anymore. Now they tell you they don't want any more kids. One's enough. Don't want to do their God-given job anymore. They want Instagram likes. Shapiro said, okay, so again, one true thing. Many false things. One true thing. People need to be having more kids in a Western civilization. The many false things. Marriage is bad. Loyalty to your spouse is bad. Society can be built on men running around having sex with 30 women and having 30 kids per year. And this is the true meaning of a man. And young men think of like, wow, that sounds amazing. Man, male seeks to impregnate many females. Okay, that sounds great to a bunch of young men who are jerking off to Andrew Tate's webcam business. It sounds amazing to them. That's also not how societies are built. Adam.
Yeah, fully agree. You white boys need to start having some kids, y'all. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's ridiculous. But, of course, I kid because I'm still working on having kids. But, look, these are healthy conversations that need to be had because both of these guys, I think, are beasts in their field. We're big fans of Tate. Do we agree with everything Tate says? No, I don't agree with anything everybody
Adam,
says.
do you?
What?
You say we as if you speak on everybody. Just say I.
What?
Do I? What I'm saying is when you say we,
okay,
we are meaning just independently talk because Rob is sitting over there, maybe doesn't agree.
Bad,
Rob doesn't watch videos.
Yes, go ahead. Make your point.
The collective we.
Yes.
Me, myself, and I.
For sure. We've had Tate multiple times. We've had some of the greatest conversations ever, and I think he's a very necessary voice, and I think he's going through an evolution himself at a different phase of his life.
Fully agree.
But continue.
And that's my next point, is that you're using some of the tactics and some of the things that Tate did, 5, 10 plus years ago against him now. That's not fair. Ben's sort of reeling a little bit. Daily Wire has taken a hit since Candace. Ben is his shine and exactly what it used to be. And he's going to have to sort of reinvent himself. He's going to have to basically inform people where he stands. But here's how I would differentiate between Tate and Ben. One is completely logical, and one uses logic and emotion. The way that Tate speaks has the ability to motivate people and get people on his side, and that's respect about Tate. Ben, I don't know how he's going to reinvent himself, but he needs to do it.
Well, his voice, I don't know if the past 6 months, his voice has gotten annoying to where when he talks, my right eye gets smaller. It's like, you know why? Because like you said, he's just sticking on one topic. He's going all in. He's showing his true colors, and people are saying.
What do you have a problem with what Ben is saying here?
With Ben, because
this specific topic here, what problem do you have with what he's saying here?
Because anybody that's judging anybody for being who they are, and like you said, Tate's evolving and doing his thing and going in and like he's bringing up his past as if he knows who he is as a person. Has he ever sat down with him and spoken to him?
I don't think
no.
He doesn't.
Tom,
we have.
What are your thoughts on this?
Look, I agree with the notion that Andrew Tate speaks very powerfully, very clearly, and he inspires emotion out of it. And I think that Ben, I respect Ben for his, for what he's accomplished and everything, but he's coming across in this very shrill and very reactive and very angry. And it's not, do I agree or disagree with the points? I just don't think he's doing a good job getting the points across. And I think he's coming off very angry and reactive. And it doesn't cause people to kind of be drawn in to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah. So think about the Tate of 5 years ago or 4 years ago, right? He's going viral. You do this, you do that, and girls are this and girls are that, and those clips would go off, right? Because he was saying what maybe many men who had been hurt before or betrayed before by a girl, which is most men, and he was speaking on their behalf, okay? And as a man, when that happens to you publicly, you don't want to talk about it because it's embarrassing. And it's happened to all of us when you kind of go through, you're like, well, no, a girl would never do this to me. And even Tate talked about one time how a girl kind of hurt him, and that was a big impact that it had on him. And, he had his own way of dealing with that. But the Tate of today, with the life he's living and now being a Muslim himself, he's making the argument of, he said something about Christian men. He says, it's about time you get angry. Did you see that video, Rob? Can you pull this up that Tate had? I think he had it yesterday on Twitter, if you can pull this up.
He's like, finally, I'm seeing you guys getting upset and getting mad.
If you can play, it's a video, I think. It's not even
down.
keep going a little lower.
He's sitting outside. He's sitting outside of
No,
the
that's not it. Keep going. He posts a lot of stuff. Keep going. Maybe we're not going to get to it. Anyways, it's a video that he says, about time you guys get upset, about time you guys do something about time you guys get vocal, about time you guys say, and he's right. The Christian community has historically been very tolerant, and they kind of sit on the sidelines and don't say anything, just kind of take it. And he's saying Muslims won't. Muslims will voice their opinion, and they're going to be more direct about it than you Christian tolerant men will be. And, that's the argument that he's making. Now, on the side that Ben is saying, with family and all this stuff, I mean, look, guys, Ben is raising kids in a family, societal environment where he's teaching them. Is this it?
I think this is it.
Is this
I think so.
one?
PBD. Yeah, play it. Play it.
Can you play this clip, Rob? I think this is it.
Great.
Not working. Yeah.
But that is it. That is the one. Oh, there it is.
Try it one more time.
Angry. I don't know why it's taking you so long.
Christian men.
Even as a Muslim, even as somebody who's recently reverted, it gives me genuine happiness to see the Christians finally angry about something. You have gay preachers, LGBT drag story hours at your fucking churches. You sit around and turn the other cheek. You have no cheeks left to turn. There's nothing in this world without masculine rage. It's the bottom line of everything. There's no country without men who are prepared to get angry and defend it. There's no idea. There's no house. There's no religion without masculine rage. They've bred it out of you. And for the first time in a long time, we see Christians finally angry about something. The reason your religion is failing is because this whole bullshit of tolerance and sitting around turning the other cheek is making you globally mocked. You're seen as weak. And when I see Christians mad for the first time in a long time, although I'm no longer Christian, it makes me feel happy. This is exactly what the world needs. There has to be a line where you say, no, we will not accept. That's how we ended up in this position in the first place, accepting everything.
You can pause it.
It's not.
I mean, he's say what you want.
Oh.
You don't like him. He did that. He's right.
Yeah. By the way, but you have to realize this, man. Ben Shapiro grew up in a very different upbringing than this guy.
Yes.
So to get Ben to understand Tate or Tate to understand Ben are two different things. You know, kind of like what Shug was talking about yesterday, where he's like, dude, who taught him those habits? Mm-hmm. Who taught? Those things come from your surroundings. If you become a gangster, and at a young age, you're around a gang, and you're around all these other gangsters, you're going to be wired in a different way.
For sure.
If you're a guy that grew up in a healthy, peaceful environment like a Ben Shapiro, and you're raised where you're going to school, and at a young age, you want to be the Supreme Court one day, and you playing the piano, you playing the violin in front of thousands of people. Yeah. But they're very similar and very different at the same time.
Yeah, the passion is there.
Very similar and very different at the same time.
I love what he said about tolerance, because you spoke about this many times. You said there's four virtues that your family you pray for, the way you lead your kids, and one virtue that you've eliminated, which is tolerance, because you've said this before. Christians become a little too tolerant.
Yep.
Yeah, LGBT. Okay, cool. It's all good. Yeah, now we can have trans preachers. It's okay.
No.
Yeah, credit to Islam, credit to Judaism. We don't really play that game. Like, we kind of have some, especially Islam, they kind of have some things that they don't equivocate on and they're tolerant on. What I'll say with the evolution of Tate and the evolution of Ben, who do you think has had to evolve more? I would argue that Tate had to evolve much more. The only difference between Ben, between he was 20, by the time he's 40, is kids. He was raised in a Jewish Orthodox household. He's worked on himself. He's worked on his business. The only major difference that I can tell perception-wise, in my opinion, is having kids. And of course, when you have kids, you evolve. Tate had to wildly evolve. From being an American to moving to London to basically moving to Romania, kickboxing, doing all this, starting a business. He was from the webcam business to everything he's doing now. He's had to evolve massively. So the scale at which he's had to evolve is nowhere near what Ben had to do. But when one thing that they definitely agreed upon is the decline in traditional values, especially in the West, especially with women. The traditional women, the trad life women, where are they now? Now there's baby mama culture, there's hookup culture, there's OnlyFans, there's sex workers. You can make money just sitting at your house. The single mother epidemic is crazy. You've talked about the stats with that. America leading the world in single mothers, especially the black community, the Hispanic community, even the white community popped off without crazy. 75% of black Americans born to single mothers, crazy stats. But men, a little bit different. They talk about this all the time. Men are a little bit different. Men can take a little while longer to evolve. Vinny and I can still have kids at any point we want right now. I challenge a 45-year-old woman to have a kid today. It's going to be pretty tough. But men need to take longer. They need to make money. They need to make friends and make a network. But women, you need to start making some babies.
45-year-old can still have a kid, but it's going to be tougher. They can still have a kid, but it's going to be tough. But I get it. I get what you're saying. So, all right. So let's go to the next story, Tom. What's his name? Our buddy. What page is it on? I thought I was on the right page here.
Which guy?
Trevor Bauer. What page is Bauer on? I want to go to Bauer.
Page 9.
Okay, here we go. Page 9. Ready? This one's going to be interesting, folks. Rob, if you can prepare the video, that would be great. Okay. So Trevor Bauer, accuser, indicted for allegedly trying to extort $3.6 million. Darcy Adana faces up to 16 years in prison if convicted on fraud and extortion charges related to Trevor Bauer, with allegations including obtaining benefits through fraudulent pretenses. According to the indictment, Bauer asserts, when I refused to pay her the $3.6 million she was asking for, she made up a bogus sexual assault claim. Bauer claims the encounter with Esemunu was initiated by her sharing electronic communications as evidence, stating we had one plain sexual encounter in December of 2020, nothing that could be explained remotely rough, she initiated. He alleges a pattern of extortion attempts linking her to previous accusations against him, emphasizing it's hard to keep track, but she's made at least 4 7-figure demands over the last few years. Tom, thoughts on the story here?
Look,
as I said, by the way, do you want to play the first minute? Just play the first minute, and then, Tom, you'll react to it. Go ahead.
We had one plain sexual encounter in December of 2020. Nothing that could be considered remotely rough. She initiated it, but don't take my word for it. Take hers. This is a picture and text message she sent me the next morning explaining why she came on to me. And for months afterwards, she repeatedly requested to sleep with me again. For example, this text from January 7th, 2021. At one point, she even requested a sample of my sperm so she could have my child whenever she wanted to in the future. Jesus. Now, it's hard to keep track, but she's made at least 4 7-figure demands over the last few years. More than a year after the one time we slept together, and only after Lindsay Hill made up her false allegations, Adana retained a lawyer. She then demanded $3.6 million and claimed I forced her to have an abortion, leaving her emotionally devastated and irretrievably damaged by it. But here's the thing, she never had an abortion because she was never even pregnant, and that's corroborated by her own medical records. When I refused to pay her the $3.6 million she was asking for, she made up a bogus sexual assault claim and filed a civil suit against me. In that version of her story, she claimed, for the first time by the way, that there was non-consensual sex, but her texts from the next morning show what actually happened. Remember this text in which she explains why she came on to me? She also claims that instead of an abortion, she actually had a miscarriage, but that's impossible, of course, because again, she was never even pregnant.
Tom.
Look, this is just the dark side of cleat chasers. And once again, this shows where you've got a player who is a very public target and everybody's coming out after him. I can remember when, there were multiple, I don't even need to recount it. There have been athletes who have had multiple women coming after them. You've got a contract. If it is against the law to meet a girl on Instagram and, have a date, if that's against the law, then basically the NBA playoffs would be reduced to a 2-on-2 tournament.
That's a good point.
Let's be real. And what you have here also is the authorities take so long to do these things. Look how long the Pasadena DA sat on the Lindsay Hill case. And Lindsay Hill lied. She could have been indicted. She lied to the government. She withheld, with her attorney, obstructed justice. Remember the Duke DA that reacted to public opinion? The Duke DA and the lacrosse case? That DA was later charged, prosecuted, convicted, and incarcerated because he covered up evidence and he manipulated things because public opinion said, oh, these white boys at Duke hired, a exotic dancer. She got upset because she didn't like the tip. She threw all these claims against them, completely unsubstantiated, no evidence whatsoever, but the DA ran with it in the court of public opinion. You know what? This is the new world we live in. The world we live in a hookup culture and things. You have these women who are cleat chasing on these things. Not all the players are good, and they get into trouble, and they get suspended when you have domestic violence. But you know what? I want to know is where the owners are right now. Where are the owners? The owners that are standing up and saying, you know what? I'm going to let people play when we find out this stuff is false. Once upon a time, you had owners that were bold and that would protect their players. And I don't mean cover up for players that had done legitimately bad things where they were getting prosecuted. If you're filmed in an elevator beating up your girlfriend, you're not going to play in the NFL. Sorry. If you are are filmed beating somebody up and there's 12 witnesses, then guess what? There's an investigation and Ezekiel Elliott didn't play 6 games. But then the owners come back and say, look, we are the world of second chances. And once you serve your penance, or if you haven't done anything in the first place. And
so you think somebody needs to give them an offer right now?
I think somebody needs to do it, because once upon a time the owners were like were stallions, and now the owners they become like owners. The owners once upon a time were, when I say that, what I mean is once upon a time owners were taking chances. The reason that we've had great progress because sports owners took chances on people, and sports owners brought people forward. And I think now owners have become geldings grazing TV contracts. And you know what? You've got teams like, I mean, if I was an owner of a sports team and I had maybe the reigning Cy Young winner was on the injured list, and I looked around, why wouldn't Trevor Bauer be
What if
invited?
we do this? I got an idea. Rob, can you Google chastity belt? Google chastity belt. I have an idea. Trevor Bauer's agent, if you're watching this, if I'm going to talk to any Major League Baseball team, I would say Trevor Bauer has agreed to wear a chastity belt for 3 years.
What's that thing on the right, Rob?
To make sure nothing is going to happen. Now, these devices, can you look at the history of chastity belt? Let's educate some people
They
here.
were worn by men.
Typically women, Pat.
Go back to chastity belt, Rob.
Rob's wearing one right now.
Go one. Devices were reportedly worn by women and men. Were there chastity belts for men? Can we find chastity belts for men?
No, they got Viagra. They want them more.
So what do we have to do to protect men for the MLB to feel safe that they don't have to worry about this guy's going to do anything? What can he do?
Well, you're going to have 10 players just called the Players Association and said, if that gets into the CBA, I'm not playing.
It's called just being smart, bro. Using your big head, not your little head right here.
But that's not him.
Yeah.
No, trust me. Like, if there's anybody that's going to be smart moving forward, it's this guy.
Yeah, well,
you know how much money he's lost? He's lost $300 million.
I was going to say hundreds of millions.
FYI, if this guy, just listen to him every time he does a video, you know what I think about? I think about this guy could be such a great lawyer. He's at this point, he's probably already qualified to be a lawyer. He'd probably pass a bar exam. He probably could get his JD. And at the same time, the more and more he has to explain himself why girls are thrown at him for sex, he could be the next Hugh Hefner, Tom. I mean, if you wanted to be like the guy that, with in the book Art of Seduction, it was always the guy that they write about. So who knows? Maybe Robert Greene's going to write a new book about it.
Here's my parting shot. You know what?
Get to the point, though, Tom.
The court of public opinion. The court of public opinion, is played out on MSNBC and CNN. And if I was an owner, I wouldn't worry about MSNBC and CNN talking about this because they don't air ball games and they haven't done any contracts with leagues. I wouldn't worry about that.
Finally, you give your point.
There it is.
That's exactly right. And I would say this, I think people like Stephen A., they've got sources inside leagues and inside players associations. And I ask a question, why isn't this man back at work? Why isn't Trevor Bauer throwing off the bump for a major league team now?
Because no team wants to take the gamble.
Because they don't want the heat of public opinion. But I don't.
The team has their own permission to sign who they want.
Chastity belt's getting tight. Tom, Rob, what were you going to say?
Stephen A., you got to call him out. You got to call out the league here. That's more than just Bauer. It's the court of public opinion.
Can I say
let these falsely accused guys play.
Can my friend Vinny say something today?
Well, Rob is about to jump out of his freaking chastity belt. Let the guy talk, because I have one thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
It's just interesting. Tom brought up Ray Rice.
Rob, we can't hear you. Turn on the mic.
Turn on.
It's on. They don't have me on.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's interesting. Tom brought up Ray Rice. Did you know? And everybody saw that video.
No, he brought up Ezekiel Elliott mistakenly. It should be Ray Rice.
No, I brought up both.
He brought up the elevator at the Borgata in Atlantic City where Ray Rice was filmed, assaulting his girlfriend, knocking her out. Do you know December 29th of last year, the Ravens honored Ray Rice.
Yes.
And the Legends game, they actually brought him out of the field. The entire stadium stood up and applauded this guy.
With his girl.
Who was caught on camera beating his wife. Trevor Bauer never was arrested. No. He was never charged with anything, and he's been cleared by all 4 victims that accused him of these acts, and yet this guy can't get back in Major League Baseball.
And the Pasadena DA obstructed justice.
So here's the point that I wanted to make is he lost how much money? $350 million.
Hundreds of millions, no doubt.
The innocent until proven guilty was not applied here.
Cy Young Award winner.
Is he going to be able to get legal action because the Dodgers, is that where he was? They fired him, basically, right? They fired him because of just allegations, right? He can't get any of that. You can't sue for that?
No.
Because I mean,
you can sue for anything. This is America. You can sue for anything. But to win is a different story.
By the way, with Trevor Bauer, here's my one question. Should we still believe all women?
That was up there.
Is this what we're at right now?
Adam, that was thrown out the window years ago. You're not believing
Here's this
shit.
lady. By the way, here's the second half of the story. She didn't just do it to Trevor Bauer. She did it to another dude as well. How many other dudes did she do this to? So we've seen.
There's a clip. Trevor actually talks about that. So his team, his legal team, subpoenaed a witness, and then this woman went and accused the witness of sexual assault, so that the witness could not testify on Trevor Bauer's behalf. I have a clip of it if you want to see that.
Yeah, while you're pulling it up, we'd all love to see that. By the way,
what a qualified
psycho. But these women are out there, like they're called cleat chasers or jersey jumpers. We've seen these ladies out there,
Rob's case,
and they're looking. This is why someone like a Drake, not that he's a athlete, rapper. This is why when he uses a condom, wrap it up, Trev. Puts hot sauce in the condom. Remember that story?
What?
And the woman, you don't remember the story? It was viral about a year ago. He put hot sauce in the condom. He's just lying in bed. And he hears the women screaming from the back. Because she tried to take the used condom and she realized the hard way, the hot way, that ain't way to do it. So guys, get some hot sauce. But by the way, what's gonna happen to the woman who actually ruined this dude's life?
That hot sauce needs to get credit, whatever the brand is. At least.
Lindsay Hill.
Adam Sosnick, there it is right there. But what's going to happen to the woman who actually ruined his life? Because this wasn't even the main lady.
No, Lindsay Hill wasn't charged, but she should have been charged. And the Pasadena DA sat on everything in the court of public opinion. They had inadequate evidence. They absolutely sat at it. And the Pasadena DA should have been taken down the same way the Duke DA was taken down, who was charged, prosecuted, convicted, and then incarcerated for the Duke lacrosse case. That DA ended up in prison.
And not only did Lindsay Hill not face any type of consequences from the authorities, she actually got a $300,000 payout from her insurance company.
That was her name, Lindsay Hill?
Lindsay Hill. She actually lied about the charges and then got a $300,000 payday.
He's not lying.
So Lindsay Hill.
This is a 23-second clip, Pat. This is him talking about Darcy, the woman that accused him of impregnating her and then forcing her to get an abortion.
It gets worse. In my lawsuit against her,
Yep, Rob. He's on cocaine right there. Okay, go ahead.
It gets worse. In my lawsuit against her, we subpoenaed a witness whom she knew for relevant documents to use in our case. And when she found out, she immediately made sexual assault claims against him, too. Her MO is clear. Lie to men to get their money, extort them if she must, and when they refuse to pay, stop paying or stop giving her what she wants, go to the police, accuse them of sexual assault, and file a civil suit against them to retaliate.
Well, by the way, think about it if you're on Tinder, and this girl's got a date, right?
Of course.
And you go on a date and it's her. How are you feeling right there? Can you imagine you're on the, you're like, your waiter comes. Can you please record this entire thing?
Yes.
I'll give you $1,000.
And please give me a side of hot sauce.
Yeah. Can you please? And you tell her, you say, I'm leaving. I am.
You've joked about this before, not even joking. You've said that any famous figure, any public figure, really needs to shoot a video, be like, hi, I'm Bill. I'm sitting here with Susie. This is what I'm doing.
My phone would be filled with those videos.
Listen,
I'd be like, lawyer, which one do you want? Here we go. This is the file. Send
I've been to parties in Miami. I've been to places, you know, and
gosh,
they literally make women sign NDAs when they walk in the room. Elon Musk has done it at his parties. I've seen celebrities do it at their parties. You gotta protect yourself. Wrap it up.
Is that a trans?
No, she's just not the most attractive girl.
She looks like a trans.
Have you ever seen the video on Adam 22? He's interviewing this girl, and you know this guy Adam 22, and she's like, I've conned men out of. One time he stopped paying my bills, and he stopped basically funding my life in so many words. Yeah, I called Department of Child and Family Services. They took his kids.
Yeah,
aren't I the shit? He's like, they took the guy's kids.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you don't mess with me. He's like, what did he do? She's just like, he stopped giving me money.
Yeah.
It's like, was he married to you? No.
Well,
your sugar baby? Yeah. It's like, they took his kids. This is who's out there. Now, are all women like this? No.
As a guy, if you're going through that, that's what you deserve. You fell for that trap.
Yep.
So it's
going to clubs and meeting girls on Tinder.
By the way, Vinny, this validates what you're looking into. Just have an AI girlfriend, none of this drama.
No, by the way, let me go to the next story. Next story. Okay, parents of Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumbley, both sentenced to 10 or 15 years for involuntary manslaughter, NBC News. The first parents to ever be charged and convicted in their child's mass shooting at a U.S. school were both sentenced Tuesday to 10 or 15 years in prison after they faced the victims' families at a sentencing hearing in Michigan courtroom. James Crumbley and his wife Jennifer were sentenced one after another by Circuit Court Judge Cheryl Matthews as they appeared together for the first time since they attended joint hearings before landmark trials were separated last fall. Their son, Ethan, now 17, pleaded guilty as an adult to the 2021 shooting at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit and was sentenced to life in prison. Matthew's sentencing decision was in line with the Oakland County's prosecutors had asked for after both parents were found guilty on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, one for each other of the students their sons killed.
I absolutely. Now I know you're going to go. I'll just set you up and I'll let you go. I hope every single state takes this law, because I'm sick and tired of every single time something like this happens, the government goes in front of the camera and they go, we got to grab the guns. Take the guns, because at the end of the day, that is their goal, is to unarm us. But I think in this case, 100%, I mean, obviously the kid, kid's off. I mean, look at this kid. Rob, can you show a picture of this guy? That is the typical kid that would come, like, when you see that. Weak. Yeah, exactly. But he said, because think about it, there was no, this is what the judge said. The judge just said, she sentenced the parents for failing to take steps that could prevent a runaway train. Judge Cheryl Matthews said, these convictions are not about poor parenting. These convictions are repeated acts of lack of acts that could have been halted. Okay, she go, there was no testimony from specialists, the shooter's state of mind. He said, this is what he wrote in his journal. I have zero help from my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the effing school. I want help. My parents don't listen to me, so I can't get any help. And mind you, they brought him to buy a gun a couple days before the shooting. That's what you get for ignoring your kids. And I think this is going to be a lesson when parents start seeing this, Adam, especially in that neighborhood, that town, that state. You know what they're going to say? I better get involved. If the kid's starting to talk crazy, if he's staying home, he has no friends, and then you go buy him a freaking gun. What are you, freaking nuts?
Adam.
Yeah, look, they're going to get what they deserve. And when this story happened, and I can't remember if it was this shooting or the shooting that happened the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year, because I can't keep track of how many school shootings there are. And I don't know why the schools are gun-free zones. They should be police zones to protect the kids. This culminated with Columbine in the late 90s. And then when it happened under the Obama administration at Sandy Hook, it went off the Richter scale. And we've all been looking for solutions, and we know what happened with Alex Jones and what he did with Sandy Hook. Sorry, Alex, you get a lot of things right. You were dead wrong on this one. But I said in a podcast, when the hell are the parents going to have accountability? And I went off on the lack of accountability in the parents, and the comment section, sometimes it does it, went off on me. How the hell are the parents going to be in trouble for the actions of their kids? How the hell will this happen? I said, something needs to happen for accountability. And you said there was a lack of action on the parents' part. If you're going to raise a piece of shit, if you're going to raise a kid who mows down 10, 20, dozens of kids at school, and you think, and a lot of times the shooter is killed, right?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
And so where's the accountability? What happens there? The only people sometimes left standing are the parents. What happens to them? Now, you might say, how are they going to get in trouble? What have they done? What have they proven to be done to actually save kids' lives? Have you alerted the authorities? Have you put the kid into some sort of psychiatric help? What have you done? Because if you can show proof that you've done something, look, I know that my kid's off. Here's what I've done.
Yeah.
Here are the meds
Would
that
you
I've
buy
done.
him a gun? Would you buy him a freaking gun?
If you're essentially encouraging or even just sort of looking the other way, you're going to be held accountable, and I'm glad there's now finally some precedent for raising a piece of shit.
And it pisses me off when people say, Adam, do you know how much it's going to cost to put a metal detector or security or a cop in a school? Oh, you mean to tell me the 112? How much have we sent to Ukraine?
Yeah.
The hell with that freaking place. And by the way, the most vulnerable people, our children, are in these schools. No security, no metal detectors, but we're just shipping
Tom,
money
as a
everywhere
parent,
else.
what are your thoughts?
Well, I have a couple thoughts, and I have an informed point of view because the BizDoc babe, Kim, is a teacher.
That's right.
And she will tell you that from private schools to public schools, you have parents that are active and involved and willing to listen to teachers that say, hey, there's some behavioral challenges here. There's some things going on. And parents that are willing to work with you on it. And then you have parents that are then at home. You have parents that enable and don't control access to the internet, don't control access to, you just unfettered, access to, mobile devices, looking at whatever, and controlling access to firearms in the home. And then the third category is admitting, when you have a teenager that's got these behavioral things, admitting you need help and getting counseling. And there are parents that, she says, I can see it. Says, I can see in fifth graders, parents that are active and are trying to be involved and are trying to work with, listen to the school, and then, through counseling and being active with their child and be there. And then parents that are like, the nanny is dropping them off at Carline in the SUV, and the nanny's picking them up. It says, and I only get one parent that comes to just a regular grade level counseling. We'll talk about their grades, their progress, classroom behavior, how they're doing, what they could work on at home. These aren't kids that are on spectrum or anything. These are regular kids. And you only get one parent there, and they're checking their watch. And she says, I can tell you where these teenagers are going to be the ones where the parents aren't involved. And they're going to wake up at 16 years old and the kid gets suspended for something. Hopefully not a shooting, dear God. But she says, I know the parents are going, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. You weren't active in your kid's life. And I can take you back to when they were in fifth grade, and I can tell you what was happening to them. And you were just letting them be willy-nilly at home and read whatever they want on the internet, not be active in their life. And then when your kid had maybe attention deficit and things going on, you didn't admit it and work with counselors to kind of help your kid. And I don't mean just run the medicine cabinet and fill them full of Ritalin. I mean, work with them and find out, hey, the kid's growing up. How much soda does he drink? Does he drink, he loves Red Bull. Maybe lay off the Red Bull. It's just simple things. But parents own it. Parents own the first line of defense here, and they don't take it.
Can I ask you a question? Because you've done a lot of content on single mothers, kids that are born to single parent households. In my opinion, the type of person that does these school shootings, these are weak, broken kids. You're not strong walking into a school and shooting up kindergartners. You're not strong. So there's a big difference between being a baby daddy and a dad. So you've done tons of content about what it means to be a dad. When you see this story, how does it resonate with you?
First of all, let's go through a case. All right, so the kid is raised by mom and dad that are married to each other. That's one case. Kid is raised by a mother who has a boyfriend that's a psychopath, teaching him bad habits and abusing him behind closed doors, but the biological father is not there. Does he go to jail? If the son is being raised by the father, that is a guy that's going through what he's going through, but the mother is moved on with her. There's so many different scenarios with this that makes me, it doesn't apply in every situation. This should not be used in every single situation if the parents are... Because in most cases, if 40% of kids right now are being born to a mother who is like a single
mother.
Yeah, single mother.
Is that the number right now?
40%. It went from 4% to 40%. If that's the case, what percentage of... Rob, can you type in what percentage of kids right now have dual parents raising them? Divorce happens. Marriage is very hard. It happens all the time. But... what percentage? Most children, 70% and 2%, with 63% living with both biological parents. Okay, got it. So that's the number you're looking at right
37.
now. So to me, it's a very technical. To me, it's a very technical situation here because you don't necessarily fully know what, who is having a negative influence over the other person. And if we're just watching Trevor Bauer, a girl can lie. So the mother says, well, he learned all this stuff from his dad. He never learned this stuff from me. Now you got that whole argument. I don't know. I think it's just a lot of different, a lot of bad opportunities opens up for innocent people to go to jail.
And you made a great point the other day. I don't even know if you remember it. You were like, now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think if you bought the kid a gun and he's crazy and he's on pills and you ignore him, I think the parents have to pay the price. But you said something the other day, PBD. We were in a meeting and you said, if a kid knows that, he can go, hey, mom and dad, do this or do that, or I'm gonna go kill. And you're gonna go to jail. Now it's like a leverage. Yeah, but that's a leverage thing. But,
great point, Vinny. Yeah. But that's my point about what did they do about it? Did they alert the authorities and say, by the way, I'm raising a psychopath?
Yeah. He's wearing a trench coat to sleep.
Like, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm worried. I'm not even being, like, I'm not even trying to joke right now.
being that serious.
I'm worried that my son or my daughter, whoever, might do something. I'm putting this on the record because they're making threats, and I would like this just to be on the record. At that point, the parent is now not culpable for what the kid does. Now, they should still step into the kid's life, but at least they've alerted the authorities. If you don't do anything, and you're raising this kid who's doing this, then yes, you're going to be held responsible, like these people in
I
Michigan.
think there's gray areas, Tom. It makes me uncomfortable.
This makes me uncomfortable too, but in this case, Pat, the due process played out. They ignored things. Absolutely, and they ignored things. They were living together, so both of them were tried together. They bought a firearm 2 weeks ahead of time. So,
not this case. Not this case. Of course, this case, I'm with
You're
it.
saying in general.
What are you talking about? I'm with
yeah.
this case.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if this becomes a precedent for future issues like this, that it happens, you go directly to the mom and dad. Bro, what if the dad is not even in the picture?
Yeah.
Well, then, if he's not under the roof and he lives in Bolivia, then, how can you try him?
But, I agree with him, but here's the thing. Do you think this is going to do you think this will lower the mass shootings? I'm not even talking about on a.
I think so.
In that state,
I think
you're
so.
not going to see. I guarantee you, in 5 years, the mass shooting in that place is not going to happen.
Let me tell you, that change starts within, and with all it takes is one.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, all it needs is one parent to hear about this and say, you know what, he's little Timmy out there. I'm worried. Let me do something. It starts with one.
Oh, this probably is already saving a bunch of lives.
I'm just saying, this saves lives.
Big time.
Okay,
Yeah, because
and I'm happy about that.
Because now you're forcing them to get involved if they weren't. 100%.
Two things. If it leads to firearm safety and control and counseling and identifying kids, those two simple things. If it leads people to say, man, we got to, we have a Second Amendment here and we're going to protect our house, but we're going to keep things locked up properly, that's a win. Number one, because the house is still protected. They don't have to give up their Second Amendment rights. And the child doesn't have access to the firearm. And second, if somebody somewhere says, you know what, I admit it, my child's got an issue, we need counseling, that's a win.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next story. UAE government denies cloud seeding took place before Dubai flood. CNBC story. The National Center of Meteorology refuted the allegations of conducting cloud seeding operations before or during the heavy storms that led to flooding in Dubai, with Deputy Director Omar Alizidi saying we did not conduct any seeding operations during this event, despite reports suggest that cloud seeding played a role in the heavy rainfall. NCM clarified that they did not target any cloud during that period, attributing the storm to natural causes rather than human intervention, emphasizing the NCM does not conduct cloud seeding operations during extreme weather events. Cloud seeding integral to the UAE's effort to address water shortage, has been utilized since the 90s with over 1,000 hours of seeding performed annually. However, the unprecedented downpours overwhelmed the country's infrastructure, highlighting the challenges posed by climate change induced shifts in weather patterns. This is what CNBC is saying. Show us the clips, Rob, that we can kind of see this, how bad it is. This is Dubai.
Oh, my God.
That is insane.
Dude.
That's not Miami. That's Dubai.
That's Dubai.
Goodbye, Dubai.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Adam, you know what they need?
You hear the thunder? You hear the thunder? Dude, that's it. You mess with Mother Nature, you mess with the plan, and this is what happens.
Tom, did you go with us to Dubai or no?
No, I didn't. But, Adam, you know what they need? They need a Jewish guy with a cane so he could cross the street.
That's Moses.
Shout out to Moses.
I need to cross the street.
Do you have any more
Tom,
clips,
you've been
Rob,
working
like
on
at
that
the
joke
airport?
for like 4,000 years.
The airport one was crazy. Look, dude.
What's this?
That looks like
What is this, Rob?
This is just more B-roll footage of some of the storms.
the worst storm in 75 years.
Oh, wow, that's like...
Look at that. Dude, look at that.
Oh.
What? Mm-hmm. Dude, I would think, like, if you're there, you think it's the end of the world. Look, the trees are coming out of the ground. Yo. Look at that. Look at the airport. The plane is, oh my God.
There goes the patio furniture.
Wow, and this is in Dubai. There's nothing of Dubai that would make you think that it's like this. Vinny, what do you think's going on there?
Well, first of all, like, this just goes to like, I love how everybody calls people that talk about cloud seeding, and they call it a conspiracy, and they say, the spraying of these airplanes because the airplanes are releasing stuff. When you look up in the sky, have anybody noticed in the last couple of years? And by the way, the same thing happened in Australia. This was the worst flood they'd seen. PBD, like they call it Tasmanian floods. Look at what they're doing. Can I play this clip really fast? This is in Australia a couple of years ago. Look at this.
Tasmania are demanding to know why cloud seeding was conducted over the Derwent River catchment the day before the worst floods in 40 years. 40
years. Look at that.
Cloud seeding is a technique used to increase rain. Hydro Tasmania has confirmed it flew a cloud seeding flight despite the weather warnings. Farmers believe the technique could have made the flooding worse.
Okay, Rob, that's good.
The Premier
I think this is what happened when you mess with Mother Nature. I understand Dubai. They're trying to make it rain, and they're trying to do this and that. Listen, you're in Dubai. It is what it is. And then I saw this video about David Keith. I sent it to Rob. He was on Stephen Colbert, which I'm shocked. He was trying to be funny, but he was making the point where this guy talked about geoengineering, which is the deliberate effort to manipulate the climate by reflecting more sunlight back into space. It mimics the process that occurs in the aftermath of a large volcanic eruption. In theory, spraying sulfur acid and similar particles in sufficient quantities could potentially ease global warming. This is him saying that Gulfstream business jets could fly around and spray this shit in the air and we would breathe it in. Go ahead, Rob. This is it.
You could actually spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up in a ugly tech fix.
You can spray something into the atmosphere to change.
Spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
How do you do this?
You start with a fleet of modified business jets and say 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year. And each year you have to put a little more. And this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in.
No, we'll get to it eventually. In the meantime, we're shrouding the earth in sulfuric acid.
So people are terrified about talking about this because they're scared that it will prevent us cutting emissions.
Right, and also that it's sulfuric acid.
We put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now as pollution, and it kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, but it'll be better if we put more in.
We're talking about 1% of that.
1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math.
What happens to the sulfuric acid after it's sprayed? Does it just stay up there?
No, it rains down, but it's a tiny addition to what we're already doing.
Is there any possible way
he's pitching it. He's pitching it. Rob, it's almost done. Look. And now he's talking about chemtrails. Watch this.
Turns out to be an old idea. This was known since President Johnson.
You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails behind them. Maybe all those planes are the contrails. Maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now, and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
Seems extremely unlikely.
That the United States is not telling something to its citizens? That seems extremely likely to me. Read the newspaper.
Look at this quote. Tom, look at this
I think they might have your idea already.
The true genius in advertising is to sell you the solution and the problem. So, going to my point, messing with nature, spraying us, and we're breathing this shit in. That's why cancer is up. That's why all these problems.
What's the argument, though, Tom? Is the argument the fact that this is not being done, or is the argument the fact that what's bothering some of the folks, Tom?
Well, I think that what's very funny, not funny, what's happening in Dubai is terrible. There's people suffering over there, bad things happening. But I found it pretty interesting that moments after this rainstorm starts, Omar Al-Yazidi jumps up and says, "Wasn't us."
Yeah, of course.
Wait a minute.
That's called the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly. But he jumps up almost immediately saying, "It wasn't us." And it's like, there wasn't time for the newspapers to come out with a story, Pat. And these guys are up there, "Hey, we weren't conducting cloud seeding this week."
Yeah, and some of them are claiming that it doesn't. Hold on, that it doesn't exist. And this is
they've been trying. Look, they've been trying cloud seeding and they've been doing cloud seeding for decades to try to influence rain over farm areas during dry seasons or during normal seasons that were overly dry. They've been doing this for a long time. And
do you think it happens here at all, Tom? Do you think they ever mess with it over the United States? And then, I don't know, hurricanes happen, weather that we've never seen happens, and then like causing disaster.
I can't tell you if one causes the other, but I can tell you they've been doing cloud seeding for an awful long time. Yeah. And either it doesn't work or they're getting some result out of it. But the thought of putting excess chemicals up there, and this guy, what this guy is talking about is nuclear winter. If it gets too warm on Earth, we'll just make a nuclear winter, because when the volcanoes go up, it actually leaves things too cool, and it blocks the sun, which prevents, by the way, oxygen drops down because things go down in terms of coolness, but you block the sun from getting to plants. Plants eat carbon dioxide and then give you oxygen.
Yeah, well, these are these climate, by the way, that guy's attitude is this climate activism shit where they're like, we're going to control it, we're going to block the sun, but as you just heard, and that's probably a conservative number, 1 million people die each year because of the shit that they're spraying in the sky. But climate, John Kerry and all of them,
well, if you're going to pick things out of there and decide he's either, a lunatic scientist.
Let's wrap up here, Adam.
Or
go
he's,
ahead.
Yeah. Well, he's nuts. He's nuts, Tom.
My best friend Adrian is there right now. International war correspondent. He's been forever. There he is, right there. He's in Dubai as we speak. Pat, you know him. Vinny, you sort of met him. When Vinny was drinking, Vinny tried to fight.
Why
my
are you
best
showing
friend.
this?
I'm showing the videos. I'm not highlighting this. He sent a bunch of videos, but I said, dude, what the hell's going on over there? Like, you're on the ground. What the hell are you doing? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, I'm showing the videos. This is what
This is him.
This is
He's
him.
there.
He's filming this as we speak. I said, dude, what the hell's going on here? There's another video right there. We'll show it real quick. But I said, what's your take? He worked for Bloomberg. He worked for CNN. He's worked for NBC. He's been around the block. He's a correspondent. He kind of knows what he's talking about in this regard. He said, look, I've been in 4 major storms and flash flood events all around the world in the last year, including Miami, New York, Seoul, and now Dubai. The bottom line is more heat equals more condensation equals more rain. In my opinion, no government, especially UAE's, has the ability to cause this type of flooding and this type of rain within 24 hours. Yes, cloud seeding is a thing. Yes, weather manipulation is a thing. But also you have to know that it's been the hottest weather on record here in the Arabian Peninsula, and they have desert soil, not the limestone that's porous like we have in Miami to soak up everything here. By the way, just a little fact, the winds here were in excess of 30 miles per hour. So it's not just this alleged cloud seeding. It was also a big storm that was passing through the peninsula that affected the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and Iran as well. I'll send you videos to prove it. There it was. Here's what I'll say. There's fact and then there's opinions. Is it a fact that cloud seeding and weather manipulation is a thing?
Yep.
Yes. I mean, and I would assume it's for the purpose of making deserts, having the ability to have rain, technology advancement. Did it happen here? Speculation. But we'll see what happens here. But it's a very interesting storyline.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. All right. So next Thursday, podcast with Tulsi Gabbard. Go to 5990 Live to get registered to be with us. It'll be a 2.5-hour podcast with potentially one of the names coming up as a VP, Tulsi Gabbard. For those of you that are competing with Manect, it's been on fire for 2 days. Those I want to come down to have dinner with myself, Tom, Vinny, and Adam at Casa D'Angelo, and then afterwards going to the cigar lounge. You can simply go to that QR code to see where you rank and competing. There's experts competing that have never been on Manect before. Then there's middleweight experts. There's heavyweight experts. Can you go to the website right now to see where people rank?
Am I in 4th place,
Actually,
Pat?
go to Manect.com. If you can go to Manect.com, go to Manect.com and then go to Leaders Bulletin all the way in the top left. And if you can zoom in, those are the newer experts that just got on to the left. And then you have some of the guys that are on the right, the middleweight experts. Zoom in a little bit. You got Fernando
Kelly
is at 11. Michael Jamin is at 5. Justin Demis at 5. Kelly Arnold at 5. Garcia at 4. Go to the right. Go to the right. Let's see some of the vets. Dustin's at the top with 26 Manects, and it's Aaron Mont and Calvin and G at 12. Cuomo's got 11. Dennis Pinniff's got 11.
Guy.
8. Sapala's got 4. Pampas. Okay, go lore for users. Brand spanking new guy on Manect that's already asked 60 different people a question. Eddie Goziker. Then we got Terrell Hall, Sam C., Manuel Lopez, and others. And then go to the other side, Rob, on... what is this one here? This is also people who have Manected before. Dustin's at the top. John Ray, Josh Oakley. This contest goes from April 16th to May 31st. And can you go to home team on the middle, by the way? Can you go to the home team in the middle? Just show home team.
I'm going to be upset.
Home team on the middle. Rob, in the middle right there. Zoom in a little bit. Thomas got 52. I'm 48. Vinny's 47.
Yeah.
Adam hasn't responded to a single Manect the last 2 days.
Okay, listen, guy. Let me just say this. This whole weekend, I'm going to be Manecting. This whole weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
So, but going back,
to
we don't need explanation. Let me just wrap it up. Okay, so going back to this, okay? So Manect, if you want to compete in this, download the Manect app. Start Manecting today. Cannot wait to have dinner with you guys. We'll announce it in June on the date. But the contest goes from April 16 to May 31st. Gang, yes.
No, I'm just saying I'm going to be answering all the next.
Adam, I got to wrap up, bro.
The haters out there,
campaigning.
Send me a message.
Yes.
I'm no longer answering DMs, nothing. It's only Manect.
Gang, have a great weekend. Rob, do we have a podcast tomorrow or no?
No, but we do have Suge Knight coming out later today or tomorrow.
Suge Knight will be coming out later on today, if not tomorrow. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.